Okay. I started. And start streaming. Yes. I think we are live.
We're live!
Yes.
Holy crap! Welcome to Half-Baked Science, where every week me and Estefannie talk about something completely half-baked, and then I guess we laugh at it or cry at it, depending on what it is. This week's video / podcast is sponsored by water.
Yes.
Water. It's all dinosaur pee. Water is 100% dinosaur pee at this point.
And not half baked.
Yeah, so make sure you start your free trial of water today. Go to your nearest sink and turn it on for 30 days.
Use half
Don't
baked
do that.
code for free water.
Awful. Yeah, water.com/halfbaked to start your free trial of water. You need it or you'll die.
Oh gosh. Okay. So, how are you? How was your week?
Oh, it's been a weird week. I just filmed something like just now that involved me having to carry a very heavy treadmill behind me with straps on my back. It was not fun.
Can you talk about what it is?
I got very dirty. Okay, have you heard of Death Stranding?
No.
You gotta get online, Estefannie.
I'm online all the time. What are you talking about?
Death Stranding is a new video game on PlayStation 4 by Hideo Kojima. If you're not familiar, he is responsible for like the whole Metal Gear Solid series of video games.
Yeah.
Have you played Metal Gear Solid at all?
No, but I know
played like
about
one of
it.
the games on GameCube because it was like ported over.
Yeah.
So he's well known for just being really freaking weird, kind of sometimes in an artistically justifiable way.
Okay. Yeah.
So, he was let go from like the video game production company that he like essentially started, and now he's sort of, this is his first video game. Death Stranding, sort of the first game that he's doing completely unhindered. This is him like unchained. This is like George Lucas doing the prequels. Nothing's stopping him anymore.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's a weird freaking game, and the reviews are very mixed. It's very polarizing. You are essentially, you're Norman Reedus. It has like all of Hideo Kojima's celebrity friends. Guillermo del Toro is a character in it, but he doesn't voice himself. He just does the motion capture, and then someone else is voicing him.
That's so cool.
I feel like I'm getting washed out here. Let's bring that down a smidge. Yeah. Nicholas Winding Refn is in there, the guy who directed Drive. He's a character in the game.
Wow. What?
So you're Norman Reedus. You're in a post-apocalyptic America, and you are essentially a like a USPS delivery guy.
Why?
So you have to on foot because someone always has to deliver mail.
Okay.
That's how the world works.
Yeah.
And so he's sort of like given a like straight from the president of America, the last United States president, an agenda to reconnect the country by delivering the mail, and he has to do it on foot because everything's wrecked. There's no roads anymore.
Okay.
There's not really any cars until like a little bit later in the game. You can start building cars and stuff. So you are just like carrying like 100 pounds of just shit on your back.
And this is why you were carrying a treadmill.
Yes. So most of the game is walking. Like you literally get buttons that like tell you what strap you're holding in what hand.
Yeah.
And so if you're walking and like you hit a rock or a slope under your feet, it kind of like tilts you over to the side, and then you kind of have to like find your footing, and you have to press the right button so that you like pull on this strap to right yourself.
Yeah.
Otherwise you fall over and you damage your packages.
Okay. Kind of like parachuting-ish.
Sorta, yeah. It's like, honestly, the first like 7 hours of it are just infuriating. Like it's just frustrating. You're walking around, but not as good as you would in real life. And you're moving boxes from one town to another. So what I've wanted to do for a while is make a weird video game controller, and so this video game is perfect for it. I want to hook up a PS4 controller to a treadmill so that rather than just pushing forward on the control stick, you have to walk on the treadmill
Yeah.
to walk in the game.
Oh, that's perfect. I would actually work out.
I mean, yeah, it is. We'll see. I haven't actually tested it yet.
Yeah.
I found a treadmill on the side of the road, and so spent a good section of today just filming myself trekking it over to my house. Obviously, there are much easier ways to do it, but just for like the video sake, it's much funnier
Of course.
if I like strap it to my back and I'm just like trudging along, and it's like hitting me in the back of the like my heels. It was garbage. I got very dirty today. There are because like parts of the game you fall over, so I like want to fall over, so I tripped and fell a couple of times. I dumped a whole can of Monster energy drink all over myself because it's like Monster is a huge part of the game for some reason. Like they paid a huge amount of money
Yeah.
to be like the main sponsor of Death Stranding. So like you end up drinking a lot of Monster energy in that game. It's really explicit.
Wow. I used to drink a lot of energy drinks when I was in college because they sponsored the computer science department. And so we had a fridge full of those, and they were free for the students. And I got addicted to them, I guess. And
I could see that.
but it was like, I think just one semester until I realized that my teeth really hurt. And I realized they have a lot of sugar, and I had to stop. Sorry for the tangent, but you just reminded me of
No.
that.
This is nothing but tangents.
Yeah.
Monster Energy drink is like something that I really hate to admit. Like, it goes down easy, but in my mind, I always imagine it as sort of like what it would taste like if gummy bears could pee. Like if a gummy bear was an alive animal,
Okay.
and it took a huge piss. Like it would taste like Monster Energy drink.
Have you seen?
And the thing is, it doesn't even taste bad. Like it tastes fine, but that's just like the way that I describe it.
I like the
Like,
way
that's
it
the best
tastes.
way
I
to
agree with you. Have you
Yeah.
seen that video about the gummy bear farming?
No, I've not.
I'll
seen
find
that.
it and I'll post it on our social media so you can see it. By the way, did you see the horse that I was talking about last time?
I did. I saw the picture of the horse. It is very. At first, it was very gross, and then I realized that's basically what like an alligator is.
Or
An
dogs.
alligator is. Well, a dog is less long, right? In terms of aspect ratio, dog's not quite there. But definitely, made me think of horses as being basically just, land crocodiles.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I didn't think about
If
that.
we're talking long faces. Yeah, that's essentially 1-to-1. How about your week? What it looks like you're way more set up in your house.
I just put some
than
stuff
last
today on the shelf so it looks like I am.
That's all. Then what else is there to do? That's like moving in is the process of putting things in places.
I mean, yes, but right behind you, right behind all of this, it's just a bunch of boxes. But at least it feels like I can sit, I can work for a bit, and then unpack, and then, yeah. It's
Doesn't matter. Fourth wall doesn't matter. Whatever's going on at the fourth wall,
Exactly.
it has no relevance to the story whatsoever.
But I am working on a video as well. Yours sounds really exciting, though. I can't wait to see it. When is it going to be released?
It's maybe next weekend. We'll see. If I can get it out sooner, I'll get it out sooner. But
What do you mean by
trying to
next
just-
weekend? This weekend or the weekend after?
no, like I suppose that would be like the 23rd.
Got it. Yeah.
Right? From November. Yeah, that makes sense.
I always had that argument with friends about what is next and what is this when it comes to dates because I have no idea. When people say
No,
next, I always say, what's the
This
next
weekend is this weekend. Next weekend is the weekend after this weekend. I think that's
Yeah.
pretty clear.
I feel like since it's Wednesday, it is very clear. But if it was like, I don't know,
No,
Friday.
I don't see any situation. No, if it was Friday,
Okay.
it's this weekend and next weekend. I don't see what's not clear
What
about
about
that.
Monday?
Same thing. This weekend, next weekend.
Why not just
Still
always
applies.
next? What's the difference between why not just like
Because we
next?
have a calendar system. We have a system for this reason where we have a week as a unit of time, and when we say this week, it is the week we are currently inside of. It's a box, it's a rectangle, and every week contains a weekend at the end of it. And when you say this weekend, it's the weekend that's in that box. When you say next weekend, it's the next box. I'm sorry. It's unmistakable.
What if it's Sunday?
Well, you're still in that. So if you in that case, you have to say next weekend because you're still in the first box.
Okay, I'll think
If you
of
want to start the
boxes.
next box over,
I like the
you have
box analogy. It helps me.
yeah.
I'll use it. I'll let you know if
You're
I find any flaws.
thank you. You won't.
Yeah. Oh, damn.
It's a perfect system. I don't know. I decided I'd just really choose sides there. I don't really know why. I've never felt that strongly about it until now.
Now we know
But
it's how you feel about koalas. There's like 1 or 100 with Allen Pan. There's no middle grounds.
I guess
One
that's
star
just how
or
it works.
5 stars. That's fine.
Which is like, does it really give you any information if you see a 3-star review? Like, what
Not
does
at
that even
all.
mean?
I agree with
What's a
you.
3-star review?
That's why
Nothing.
thumbs up, thumbs down works better. Yeah.
Numbers of thumbs up, thumbs
Yeah.
down. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although I mean, there is an argument there for that kind of thinking, like ruining something like the movie sort of rating industry of having that sort of
Oh, I
binary.
thought
'Cause
they did it with tomatoes.
Yeah, but that's the same thing.
Yeah, no.
It's a tomato or it's a rotten tomato. Right?
And
That's
it's
a thumbs up, thumbs down.
percentage.
The binary system.
But it's a percentage.
Yeah, but it's a percentage of the binary, and the problem is it doesn't quite allow. Like it gives you exactly like 2 modes of being, 2 states for a movie, right? We're looking at a movie overall as a state machine. If you only have the one input, which is good or bad, or the one output, good or bad, 2-state machine, binary, that's not necessarily enough. Like with Death Stranding, there are parts of Death Stranding that make it an awful, awful video game. Doesn't mean it's an overall terrible video game. It's a little it's a little hard to say.
Yeah.
But it definitely is not something where I would feel comfortable jumping the gun, giving it a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Okay, that's interesting because with everything else you have.
Don't you have any movies that you cannot put in a box one way or another? Like a movie that you have seen that you're like, you know what? That movie was complete garbage, but it had like this thing going for it, like enough so that you might even like, rewatch it or recommend it. You don't have any movies like that?
Well, that's tricky because I like movies. Like I'm really into film.
Just doesn't matter.
And here it's
any of
like I don't know. I can't think of anything that I do truly hate some movies. So like oh, this is opening a can of worms here, but I don't like Marvel at all.
Oh no!
No.
That's like the entire start of my YouTube channel is
I
just
know.
trying
That's
to
why I'm
steal
so
ideas
scared
from
of saying it to you.
Oh my god! How dare you, Estefannie? What's wrong with Marvel?
I'm just it's not my kind of movie.
Not your kind, but there's so many different kinds of Marvel movies.
Okay, I know exactly what movie is an example of what you just asked me.
Okay.
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange. Okay.
That's the only Marvel movie that I can tolerate.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And why is that?
I like that it's like some really successful doctor, and then he's like, "Ooh, I'm gonna meditate." So like the story felt like cooler, I guess, and the way it was told, it felt like I could follow it. Oh, same with Iron Man. The first Iron Man was great.
Well, Doctor Strange is basically Magic Iron Man.
Exactly. So I guess that's the kind of story I like. Where like if you're like bitten by a spider and you're in high school and
so you like watching the billionaire learn a little bit of like humble life lessons kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like Batman, so I don't know.
Well, I don't know if Batman doesn't really have the same arc because Batman
plus it's not
he gets
Marvel.
traumatized.
Sorry.
Batman gets traumatized as a small child, and then he just never changes direction after that. There's not.
Right.
It's a little bit different, where you have characters that are fully formed as adults with certain flaws that then are improved on over their character arcs because of some magical / technological event.
Okay.
Whereas with Batman, like one thing happens to him, and then he becomes a force of nature. There's not
nature.
There's no real Batman arc, is what I'm saying. Like, what is as an adult? what is Batman's character arc? He doesn't have one.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
He punches crime because for some reason in his universe there's just no any kind of therapy or psychology or psychiatry, and the only way he knows how to deal with his childhood trauma is by like really inefficiently directing his energy towards fighting crime, which like with your two hands has got to be the least efficient way of doing it. And then it just does it forever. There's no character arc there.
Right. I mean, I like the villains way better. Speaking of, have you seen the Joker?
I did see the Joker.
Uh-oh.
That's probably a movie that's on my list of things that like have a couple of redeeming qualities, but overall are not. What are you telling me? What is the Joker's story in that movie? Here's a weird guy. He's real sad. Oh, he kills some people, makes him feel better. Done. That's the Joker movie.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Oh my god, no. I'm sorry.
You really got more than that out of the Joker movie? What more is there?
I love that movie.
No nuance. The cinematography is great, but that's because it's just copying everything that worked 30 years ago. Or wait, what year is it? 2020. God, 30 years ago is not actually enough. That's like 40.
Wait.
40,
I want to say my take on why
Jeez.
he is interesting as a character. A very
Well
well-developed character. Sorry, guys, we do have science. Just 1 second.
All right. Do we?
Let's talk.
I thought after the whole the tantalum keratin thing, I thought that was just permission for us to do whatever.
Oh no, we're still doing science. Did you not bring a story? It's fine. I brought a story.
No, I brought a story,
okay.
but it's got nothing to do with science.
I mean, I didn't expect any less. Okay.
It was like let's talk about goofy shit with each other. I don't know.
Okay. Well, hopefully, I like my story. I hope you enjoy it. But before that,
All right, let's hear
character.
you try. I will give you 60 seconds to try and defend the Joker.
Easy.
Right now.
He is the typical profile of a serial killer. They did the research. They know exactly whomever wrote this character. They really know how like all the stuff that kind of happened to a lot of serial killers that trigger them into becoming that. So to me, it didn't feel like I was watching a superhero / villain type of movie at all. I didn't even think it was Gotham, like to me it was like, oh, I'm watching a movie based in New York in the 80s or 70s, I don't know, and it is about a serial killer. That's it. Because all serial killers have a fun nickname. They all want to be famous for something. They get off with that. They all get hit in the head. He got hit in the head. They all had some trauma, childhood trauma. They all have and then that one trigger point when they become their first kill. And then they just continue that. And this character is developed 100% around what serial killers are.
I mean, I appreciate the words that you used, but I'm still seeing guy is not good in the head, is sad and kills people. Finished. That's the end of the movie. Like what?
Maybe you're not interested in like true crime and investigating. I don't know, that kind of stuff. But to me, I am, and I can see the patterns, and I truly appreciate them doing the research on, hey, this is how a serial killer is made. Like, that's it.
All right. Let's see. We've got in the chat here. Jay. Hi, Jay.
Okay.
Death Stranding is the game where UPS saves the world. Yeah, essentially. Monster Zero and green tea. I guess that's kind of a balanced diet because green tea is sort of got, I don't know, antioxidants. Does it cancel out the monster energy? Gummy bear farming. Okay. I'm also curious about gummy bear farming, Sun Hat. Double says it's best to disambiguate, just say not this weekend, but next weekend. All right, so there you go. I enjoy that because it uses the correct terminology, but it does add a little bit more information.
I like that.
If anyone has it confused. Double, Death Stranding is a Kojima walking simulator. Count me in. Exactly. Precisely. Yeah, I'm pretty much sold on it right now. Ajay, do you have a favorite hero? I think
Joker.
the answer is no already, right? He's not a hero.
Maleficent.
You're never supposed to root for him in that movie. He's literally just killing people. There's
No,
no point.
I.
No. You're getting into the weird like when people started like copycatting the crimes in A Clockwork Orange, and people were
Oh
like,
no,
"You
no, no.
missed the entire point."
No, I
It's
know.
not that's like a cool thing to do,
I
but you're not
felt
supposed to.
pity for him. I felt some pity and I felt for him as a human, where I never feel that about any kind of comic book character. I guess that's.
I mean, you can pity him up until the first dude that he kills. That's a little bit like, all right, you probably shouldn't have killed that guy.
Yeah,
Eh,
yeah, no, I mean, it's part of the movie.
would you
I'm.
feel the same way about like an actual serial killer? Like
No, I
that's
mean,
different.
they're all terrible, and this is just another. It's just another one. I just found like a very interesting story. That's all. I'm not rooting for him. I just feel like, oh, I actually felt something for a character from a comic book when I usually don't.
Now, I would say for me, just for the sake of like making sure that people know sort of the range of superheroes here. I would have to say a group would be my favorite group of superheroes. That would be the Great Lakes Avengers, because everyone. No. Hear me out. Hear me out.
Okay.
Everyone, like you sort of have the big franchises that everyone's a fan of. Duh. The Great Lakes Avengers are like the losers of the Marvel superhero world. They are a group around the Midwest, around the Great Lakes, as their name implies. They call themselves the Great Lakes Avengers because they're legally not able to, the Avengers don't want them because they suck.
Mm-hmm.
They can't just call themselves the Avengers because in that universe, it's copywritten, like it's a legit thing. So they call themselves the Great Lakes Avengers. I think down the line, they actually get sued for that by the actual Avengers. But it's
Okay,
a group
so it's not the Avengers. Sorry, I don't know anything
no,
about this.
it's the Great Lakes Avengers.
Sorry.
And
I need to put this on Do Not Disturb. Just 1 second.
Oh, yeah.
This thing. Yeah.
Stephanie, please. I'm trying to tell you about the Great Lakes Avengers. I think it's sort of the most well-known incarnation of them.
Okay.
Their leader is a guy whose superpower is he can't die. So he goes by Mr. Immortal, and you think that's a really sweet superpower, except that other than that, he's a normal dude. So he has the strength of one man, and he has the agility and strength of one man. Like, basically, there's a moment where he tries to. He decides he's going to try and use his powers for good. He tries to stop a bank robbery, and the bank robber shoots him in the head and then leaves. And then Mr. Immortal gets up because he can't die, but he can't stop the bank robbery. He's joined by Doorman, a guy whose body can act as a door through any wall.
Oh.
Granted, he can't use himself as a door. So he has to stand up against the wall, and then people can walk through him. He cannot do anything on his own.
So useless.
Yeah. There is I think she goes by Bertha? Big Bertha maybe? I don't remember, but her power is that by day she's a supermodel, but she has control over her fat composites, like how much composition her body fat is. And so by night she can make herself weigh a huge amount, and she can run around and tackle people kind of like the Blob, from X-Men.
Okay.
They have an alien character that's basically a pterodactyl.
Okay. I can, yeah.
Pterodactyl
Interesting.
can't speak English. Communicates psychically with Mr. Immortal, and that's the only person they can talk to.
Okay.
And rounding out the team, they have, I think he goes by Flatman, but he's a guy who is just very flat.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has some limited ability to stretch a little bit, but essentially he tries at all times to be dressed as Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four, the stretchy guy, because he is basically trying to get people to think that he is that guy.
The Fantastic Four.
The Fantastic Four, you got the rock guy, the stretchy guy, the fire guy, the invisible girl. Not ringing a bell? Really?
No.
Well, anyways, the whole point is
Yeah?
the Great Lakes Avengers are awful. They're awful heroes. They hardly can get anything done right. And in the limited series where they actually had like a comic series to themselves, in every single issue, one of them dies because they're just awful, awful, awful heroes.
And that's your favorite hero.
Yes, absolutely. if there's one thing, like I think the real thing to root for here is failure. Like it's real easy to like go like, oh yeah, I love Iron Man because he wins every single time.
Yeah.
And even when he like goes through some kind of traumatic experience like in Civil War, like in the MCU, he like learns from it, he gets better, and he ultimately is a stronger person because of it. And we love rooting for that. But there's something about like
Not
a
me.
hero that is just a utter failure beginning to end. They like go through some really like tough experience. And they're not even necessarily better for it when it's over. Like maybe they've learned something, but you don't really get the sense that they are actually like any stronger or more resilient or even like a better hero, but that they've just become like the tiniest bit better. But they're still overall a huge failure. Like I think there's something
perfect.
way more heroic
Wait, Alan.
for rooting for those people.
You and I then are very alike because you seem to be liking the villains better than the heroes. Because what you described,
what part of what I just said has anything to do with villains?
they're all.
Come
you
on.
said like everything goes wrong for them. They're usually failures.
No,
That's essentially
not.
it. Have you seen Megamind?
I have seen Megamind.
It's exactly that.
No, but Megamind is the protagonist of that movie, so he has to be portrayed in a positive light.
Exactly.
If Megamind was like a white nationalist and he was like doing genocide with his laser guns, you would not be able to get on board with that.
Of course.
Like he is a villain in the like most identifiable sense of the word villain, because he's the protagonist of the movie. He's the main character.
Right, and like Maleficent and other famous villains.
No,
You like villains. You like villains without knowing.
All right, Great Lakes Hacksmith from the Gap Soul.
Great Lakes Hacksmith.
Who would be the Great Lakes Hacksmith? Who do we have around? Peter Schreipel lives in like Ohio, but the thing is, Peter Schreipel is like legitimately amazing at building things. I wouldn't call him the Great Lakes Hacksmith at all.
Yeah, no.
Bad User 97. Hello, guys. Hi, Bad User 97.
Hello.
What's it like being born in 1997? I assume that's why you're Bad User 97.
Yeah. Oh, we're older than you. It's okay, though.
Nothing much.
Not by
How
much.
does that make that guy? What, like 21? Is that like a 21-year-old? He can drink.
Maybe 21, 22. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
No, that's
Absolutely
totally fine. Okay, I have a story. Can I tell you a story?
Yep.
I don't want to talk about
Absolutely,
superheroes. I'm sorry.
Tell me a story, Estefannie.
Yes. Well, you can tell me more about. You have to convince me, or you have to teach me about those things because I don't know anything about that.
That's not something to be taught.
Then I can't.
Not
well, maybe I thought it's like oysters that you just like at first you're like, but then you like them. Hopefully, superheroes are like that. I don't know, an acquired taste. No.
Maybe, I don't know. I think it's just I wouldn't force it. If you're not into it, you're not into it. It's not your thing. You don't have to go through like a lecture series by Allen Pan to learn about superheroes to finally be like, oh, you know what? When you put it like that, I like them now. I don't think that's a thing that you have to do or it's even possible. What's your story?
Okay, I'll tell you my story.
Yeah, tell me your story. What's
my
your story?
It's actually like a superhero, but not.
Okay.
You tell me.
All right. Great segue.
Yeah,
Here we go.
Superhero, dude. Taking you back to 1984. The UK.
84.
Everything is brown. People are smoking cigarettes. They all have denim jackets, pixie cuts, big plastic earrings. I'm just trying to give you the whole...
Or in the UK?
I mean, the 80s, right?
I feel like it was a little region specific, but okay. I mean, I'm on board. It's mid-80s, UK.
Yes. There's this town called, which I'm probably going to butcher it, but I'm going to give it a try.
Let's butcher it. Let's make some meat, baby.
Leicestershire. Or Leicestershire. Or Leicestershire.
I'm pretty sure I was there this year.
Really?
Maybe.
When? Because we were in the same place.
Yeah. But no, we went on slightly different routes to get there.
Okay, where'd you go?
I don't remember. My geography is terrible. The name sounds familiar though. Leicestershire is something I think I've also struggled to say. in the
Because
past.
we met in Birmingham.
Yes, or Birmingham. Birmingham.
That's where we met.
As my friend in the UK says, Birmingham is in Alabama.
Sorry.
Birmingham is in
Birmingham.
the UK.
Birmingham.
Birmingham. Birmingham. Yes.
Okay, Leicestershire. Let's gonna call it
Yeah.
Leicestershire.
Yeah.
Okay, it's mid 80s. So, ooh, I hear alarms. That's LA, right?
Oh, that's probably me. Yeah.
Okay.
It is what it is.
It's fine. This is a sad story. Hold on.
It is a sad
But it's also there's.
because last week you had an uplifting story, and I thought it was.
I'm just
it was
warning you. No, it's
not quite.
it's a
but this one's
true story that you did judge. Anyways, 84, United Kingdom, Leicestershire. A teenager was murdered and raped and murdered. And
all right. Strong start.
yeah, strong start.
Good start.
And
here we go.
The detective, Mr. Detective in charge of this, and his team were obsessed on this. They couldn't find the killer. And they spent a lot of money trying to figure it out. They don't have a lot of evidence, and that's it. Well,
Wow, that story sucks.
I know. Well, that's
awful.
That's like a side story of the other story. Stop interrupting me. Damn it. Okay. Now cut to the university there of
Keep going. Keep telling your story.
Okay, there's this dude called Alec Jeffries, and he is doing research in the university there. And you're still laughing. How am I supposed to tell you
I'm still. No, you keep telling your story.
Alright.
I'm still getting over the really rough start. But keep going. I want to see.
So,
I want to see this come back around
the whole
somewhere.
town is devastated. It's all over the news. It's all over the newspaper. It's 84, so there's no Twitter. There's only on newspapers. People are reading it.
Okay.
The whole community
Okay.
is devastated about this murder.
Awful times,
Awful.
terrible times.
Yeah.
Nothing good here.
Yes.
Keep going.
The Mr. Professor Alec Jeffries, he is doing DNA research, and what he's trying to do is actually read it. And so one day I wrote this. Listen to my.
Oh, okay. Like so, 84. Like they know what DNA is.
Yeah.
Do they? But this. They didn't have a way of testing for it. Is that what this guy is up to? Is that where he's going?
I can tell you what they knew back then before he did more stuff. So he knew that we shared almost all of our DNA with chimpanzees, and that only a tiny bit of our DNA makes us human. That's all he knew.
Sure. Okay.
And then,
so he's got that.
And what he's trying to do in his research is trying to break it into smaller bits and extracting that one gene and trying to read it somehow. So he's doing a lot of different tests like liquids and x-rays and stuff. So
at the very least, he's going to try and prove that a chimpanzee did not do this murder.
No.
The chimpanzee did do this murder?
No,
Is this like
no chimpanzees in this story. Where did you get this from?
What was that? Was it Sherlock Holmes or no? Another detective story where the murderer was an orangutan, but it was old timey, so it was an orang-utang.
No, I don't know.
So they hadn't standardized how to write that down yet. That's like a classic detective story.
I don't know it.
So it was a chimpanzee.
No, it was not.
Okay.
I was telling you what they knew about DNA back then. Pay attention.
I'm with you. I'm with
All
you.
right.
I have questions. As is natural.
So one day, he was looking at one gene in particular, and he looked very closely at it in his microscope, and he found a small region that didn't code for any protein that he was looking for. And it seemed like that bit had no functions at all. Like, he's like, what is this? It makes no sense. So he realized that there were like repeat patterns. And so what he did was, he went home. I was skipping some parts of my story.
Okay.
He went.
I'm glad that you had the sound effect so we would know that you were skipping. Yeah, that's important.
He got his dad, mom, and daughter's DNA, and also his lab assistant, because why not?
Okay.
And then he put them next to each other to see if those patterns were in each of them. So,
and is he at this point? Is it the what do you call it? The gel electrophoresis thing or whatever where
It looks like a
you have
barcode.
yeah, you like put the voltage potential between like the two sides of the gel, and it kind of like the stuff pulls the stuff, and they get left at different points. Is that what we're talking about here?
I don't know.
I'm- Okay, so he's doing something that lets him see DNA things.
He's printing.
and
He's
comparing
he's
them.
printing these DNA parts into like what looks like barcodes. You know,
Okay.
like a barcode that you scan.
Yeah.
It looks like that.
So I mean the thing that I know of that does stuff like that, I think it's like an electrical gel process, which is kind of neat. But that's what I know of, and that I don't know if that's like a modern thing or they had that
Maybe
name
because this
before.
is more like trying to do with some chemicals, spin it in a thing in a science lab, and then
Okay.
took it to
Spinning
the
thing, science
dark
thing,
room, kind of like
liquids
photography.
are happening.
Yeah, kind of like photo room, like a dark room thing.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
So he's looking at these things side by side,
yeah.
and he knows it's not a chimpanzee.
He notices that all of them have these pattern sequences, but they're all unique. They're different from each other. And then he also noticed, the first thing he noticed was that, wait a second, not only is our DNA completely unique like fingerprints, but also he was able to determine that his mom and his dad, he had some of his mom's patterns and his dad's patterns, making his a unique one. But that's how he could test that he is the son of his dad or the son of his mom, obviously. But yeah.
Did they not know that in
No,
1984?
no, this is all brand new.
That you would get half your genes from your mom and half your genes
The
from your
DNA,
dad?
yeah, the pattern that he's trying to read. He's trying to learn how to read DNA sequences. No.
I guess that's something that's one of those bits of knowledge that I take really for granted,
Yeah.
especially given like Maury in the 90s as such a like thing that you assume was just everyone knew.
Let's find
like,
out
yeah,
if
you
he's
get
the
half
father,
from mom and half
and then
from
you
dad.
check the DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like
Like
84.
although I think back in the day, like people used to think that like the the woman kind of just incubated like a sperm. Like I think there's like a really old drawing of like what people thought sperm was, and it's like it's like a tiny man. So it's like
Why?
like London, some guy's drawn what he thinks sperm is in like, I don't know, the 1700s or some really old ass time, and it's a little dude because they thought like you put the sperm in the woman, and the woman just grows this tiny man into a slightly bigger man and then pushes it out. So I guess yeah.
What if it's a baby girl?
Or it could be a tiny woman.
Oh, okay,
It could
okay.
be a tiny woman or a tiny man, whatever.
Okay.
But like now that I think about it, yeah, I guess it is something that you take for granted, the knowledge that like when you make a baby, you know, it's half and half. Like you're not just putting a tiny man and a lady.
I mean, they knew about that. We're talking about DNA. Now, DNA research is way like closer to our time than the reproductive system, Alan.
Sure. Quick aside, I think it would be really fun to do a Pornhub sponsored like Sex Mythbusters miniseries.
Sure.
I don't know if they would go for that, or if my brand would like survive that. Like I don't know if I would just forever be like the YouTuber who made a bunch of educational porn videos. But I think there's a lot of fertile ground there.
It depends on the twist. Like you got to be careful how you word it, but it could, if it's
It's
educational.
on Pornhub, anything goes, right? But yeah, I think there's a lot of sex myths I think would be really fun to test.
Oh, for sure. Sure.
Not in the way that I've just now realized it sounds like now that I say it out loud.
That's what I said. You just need to be careful how you word it.
I mean, purely from a scientific building funny things point of view, I would not be participating in this hole's getting dug deeper.
Yep,
Estefannie, what happens then?
Can we
the
go
guy
on?
compares
Yes.
the barcodes.
Okay.
He looks at his mom and dad. What happens then?
The hacksmith came into a very weird time, Alan. Okay.
No, Estefannie, keep going. What happens next?
Okay.
Get me out of
yes. I'm trying.
here. Throw me the life preserver. I'm making my way back to the boat. What happens
so
next?
Mr. Jeffries, he knows that DNA comes from chimpanzees. We have almost the same DNA as chimpanzees. It's only a tiny bit that makes us human. Then he also figured out how to read it into like these barcodes. And then these barcodes, he realizes that we have very unique patterns. And this is when he realized he discovered what is now known as DNA profiling or DNA fingerprinting. So
DNA profiling. So you could match a specific DNA barcode looking sequence with a specific person.
Yeah. So
like you would know that like this one belonged to that guy and no one else.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to tell you. Yes. And then little bits of that barcode were taken from your mom and little parts of that barcode from your dad. And that's what made you unique. Okay. Unique.
Aw. Okay, we're getting the heartwarming meter is bouncing back up a little bit.
No, I'm sorry. I'm going to take you back to the dark times.
Oh boy, here we go.
Mr. Jeffries, he was so sick and tired of this whole town devastated by the murder of this girl. And then 2.5 years after that first murder, there is another one. And another teenage girl gets murdered and raped. The detective, smart detective man, he says this is a serial killer because there's a pattern and it has to be the same guy. The other policemen are like, no, it's not, blah, 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 drama. And then he reads about this dude's research on the paper. And he's like, well, that sounds interesting. Maybe there is something there that we could use, DNA fingerprinting for forensic.
How desperate was this detective dude where he's like mulling over like scientific papers
right
to try and figure out a way to use like a new methodology? Like
I wouldn't call it desperate. I would call it dedicated.
Like it wasn't like suggested. Like he's literally going like I got nothing. Might as well start reading like scientific journals.
I mean, think about it. He's been on this case for over 2.5 years. Nobody believes him anymore that this is the same guy. And then they're trying to find... let's go back to the second murder. So a kid during the crime scene, like where the policemen are trying to gather evidence... No, they're actually trying to find the body. Sorry. The girl is missing. Then they're trying to find the body. And a kid like is in 17-year-old teenage boy goes to them and he's like, you're looking in the wrong place. And then he goes, so wait. And they're like, go get that guy. What? So they find the body. This kid knew where the body was. So they take...
It's a little suspicious.
Just a little. They bring him for questioning and... he confesses to the murder of the second teenage girl. He's like, yeah, I did it. I pulled down her trousers, etc. And
but he didn't. Did he admit to the first one?
No, he never admitted to the first one. He said, I didn't do the first one. I just did the second one, and this is how I did it. And the detective is like, he didn't tell that to him, but he told it to the other detectives. Kind of like, that's interesting because she wasn't wearing trousers. She was wearing a dress. So this kid is making things up.
Suspicious.
And the cops are like, no, we got it. We have it on tape. He confessed. We got our man. And the smart detective is like, So this is when he reads the paper about the DNA fingerprinting. And he remembers how, because I was there. I know this whole story, obviously, because I was there.
I'm imagining he's at his desk. He's got his feet up.
Smoking a cigarette.
He's got a cigarette in one hand and then a scotch in the other one.
I would think more like coffee. He's more of a coffee guy.
It's late at night. It's a scotch.
But this
scotch. It's late at night. He puts out his cigarette on the desk. He pulls up the paper and it's a scientific publication. He takes a sip and he's like, DNA profiling. Very interesting.
Well, not...
That's exactly what happened, by the way.
Okay, maybe not profiling, but fingerprinting, because in his mind, this is what's exactly that image you put, but now let's go into his mind. What he's thinking is, it's now in his mind, like 40 years ago or whatever, no, not 40 years ago, but a little less than that because he was around. He remembers that this other town, they had the fingerprint of a murderer, but that was all the evidence they had. So what they did is they gathered all the fingerprints of all the town, 40,000 fingerprints, and that's how they found the killer. And he's like, fingerprinting. I have DNA. They had the semen. So they had DNA from the killer. So he goes to this Dr. Jeffries. Oh man, did I say it wrong? Jeffries, no. Yes.
Dr. Jeffries.
And
yeah, it was Dr.
actually, now Sir Jeffries. But that's for later.
He was knighted?
That's for later.
When does that... How... What?
It's England.
What is the...
Everybody gets knighted there. Let's go. Come on. Hold on.
What exactly the prerequisites for that? Who get like it's just like I know a lot of celebrities get knighted, but you can also get knighted by like solving crimes.
No, he's the guy who discovered DNA profiling. This
Yeah,
guy,
it helps solve crimes, right?
but he discovered DNA profiling, which is big, really big. Okay.
Okay.
But
All I'm saying is like I have 900,000 subscribers on YouTube. Where's my knighthood?
you're not British.
Oh shit, you're right. That's sort of like the main thing, isn't it? My dreams.
Okay,
In one fell swoop, Estefannie.
let's go back to the story. So
Okay, what happens? So
Okay.
Dr. Jeffries, he gets knighted, whatever. He's
no, we're not even there yet. It was a spoiler
Okay,
alert.
okay, getting ahead of ourselves here.
Yeah. So, la da 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 da. I'm trying to remember where we were before we talked
Reading
about
off a
that.
script right now?
Yeah, I'm like scrolling. Da 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 da. Okay, so
Come on, girl, just freeball it.
it's
Freeball it. Let it
all
loose.
over the papers. There's a $20,000 reward to anyone who has any information for this killer, and yeah, people are devastated. Very small community that I'm assuming. I don't know Leicestershire, but sounds like a smaller community.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so this kid, he confessed. They realized that he probably is lying because there's no trousers. It was a dress. This guy, yeah, we were back in his head, yeah, and he remembers the fingerprint situation, and then so he goes to the doctor, and he's like, hey, no, what if we do that? What if we ask everyone to give their blood sample so we can find the killer? And then
You got blood from 40,000 people?
no, that was a different town. So this
I know, but wouldn't they have to get a similar number of people to put in blood samples?
Well, here's part of how I guess this detective worked. He said all serial killers, they only work within a certain amount of miles of a radius. So he drew a map of the two places where he'd committed the murders, and then they did a radius out of that, a whole circle, and then they were like, we're just going to profile these people, which were about 5,000 or something like that, which is not that bad.
I mean, a lot smaller, but still a lot. Like, I can't imagine like a line of like 5,000 people and you're just sticking needles into them one at a time. Like, that's crazy.
Oh, it went over for a long time. And also, they couldn't get it approved because it's so expensive. It's very different to get fingerprints for a person than getting their blood done. So I think it was estimated about 500,000 pounds back in the 80s of just being able to do this experiment.
About 10 billion pounds per pound in today's pounds.
Exactly. And it is like, it's a lot of money and for an experiment, because they're like, well, we might catch a killer. And so at first, I mean, they didn't want to do it. The managers of the world, they didn't want to do it. But then they got it approved. And
there's a cabal of world managers, just people who are generally in charge of small groups of people.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about this.
Why would I pay for that experiment? Yeah, they're like, yeah. How much?
And then people are constantly asking for them in retail stores. They gotta interrupt their cabal meetings all the time. Like, Karen over there in Leicestershire is asking to really if we've got that size shoe in the back. Sorry, I need to deal with this.
Exactly.
The cabal of managers.
They do that too.
So, all right, does the guy get caught or not?
Well, I'm trying to get there, but you're not letting me. Okay, so the guy, they do 5,000 tests, and they all fail. They don't find the guy. I know.
It's the chimpanzee. I knew it.
No. So
did they check the zoo?
Wait. So then they get a call from this lady who tells them, "Hey, I was at the pub the other day, and I overheard this dude bragging about how he did the blood sample of his friend, And then they're like, what? And so they go interrogate him. And this dude is like, yeah, I just forged a passport and did it for this other dude. And they're like, why did you do it? And then he's like, because he's my boss. So they go get the boss dude, and they're like, why didn't you give your sample? We need to talk to you, basically. And he's like, I thought it was voluntary. And they're like, no. So they do the sample, and it is 100% match. And that's how they find the killer of those two teenage girls.
It wasn't a chimpanzee.
No, it was, I can tell you his name, Colin Pitchfork.
Colin Pitchfork? Mm-hmm. This is a little on the nose for a villain name, isn't it?
Yeah, I just
His name is literally Colin Pitchfork?
Colin Pitchfork pleaded guilty to both murders and also admitted...
Sometimes real life has the worst writing. Like, that's just... I would have seen that coming a mile away.
Well...
The detective didn't just assume Colin Pitchfork was the serial killer, because I would have.
There have a lot of
once I checked the zoo and ruled out the chimpanzee, it's Colin Pitchfork next on my list.
Well, maybe you're in the wrong field, Alan. Maybe you should become a detective.
In the 80s.
And you spend all your time in the zoo, apparently.
If I get to smoke and drink scotch and read scientific papers, I mean, if that's what detective work is,
pretty much.
Sign me up.
Well, he also admitted that he had exposed himself to over 1,000 women, progressed to sexual assault, and then started strangling his victims so they wouldn't identify him.
The fact that he kept count is definitely the kicker there. I think that's the important fact.
He was sentenced to life in prison in 1988. And our friend Jeffries got knighted for discovering this, and he is still working in his lab nowadays. DNA profiling has brought in many criminals into prison all over the world, but also has released a lot of innocent people. Yes.
Yeah.
There is a...
Okay, so it did you kind of went up there.
Yeah.
You kind of started off like real low in terms of wholesomeness, and then you kind of made it up there.
Yeah, I made sure I wrote it better this time, so you wouldn't complain. And today you can find a whole British TV show about this, which was released in 2014, and it's called... Oh, I didn't write that part.
And it's called... Oh, that's the real mystery!
Code of a Killer. Code of a Killer. Code of a Killer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That wasn't the real mystery.
No.
The real mystery was the friends we made along the way, but the TV show is called Code of a Killer.
Yeah. So I really like the story because this dude figured out that thing.
Yeah, I mean, I know you like this story because it started off as a real bummer. It had murder. It had people being, innocent people being misidentified as killers. That's like totally an Estefannie thing.
It's it would make a great film, and I see why it's a TV show. I'm kidding. No, I just...
All right.
I like...
If we're gonna talk about movies, I'm gonna give you a quick pitch here. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna give you about 2 minutes here because this is all you need to know.
Okay.
Is somewhere out there is a list of movies.
Okay.
And there's a top of the list, which are very good movies that are well done on purpose.
Okay.
And then at the bottom of the list, you have awful, truly tremendous wastes of time of movies that have no reason to exist.
But who decides
badly designed,
that?
Badly everything. Me.
Oh.
It's always...
Okay.
And the thing is, though, is unlike with the animal list, the movie list, it does kind of have... It is kind of... It can overflow.
Okay.
Like, in computer science, you have a certain amount of data allotted to keep track of a number.
Yeah.
And if you get to the very top of your sort of data allotment, you roll back down. With movies, you can have a movie that is so just monumentally bad that you can actually do an overflow error and pop right back up to the top. What's the worst movie you've ever seen, Estefannie? I'm sure you've seen a bad movie that ended up being good because of how bad it was, right?
No.
Oh, you have not lived, Estefannie!
Because then doesn't it just become like a cult movie, like The Room?
Yes! Precisely.
Yeah.
The Room.
But then that doesn't just make you a hipster who likes the cult stuff?
No, it makes you someone who can appreciate Stack Overflows.
I guess. I just feel like...
But it's a in-universe, built into the fabric of space-time computational error.
Yeah.
So,
Uh-huh.
one of these movies is called Troll 2. Have you ever seen
Oh,
Troll 2? Have you?
no.
All right. Well, I'll be brief.
Okay.
The first thing to get out of the way is that there was, in fact, a movie that came out in 1986 called Troll.
Okay.
Troll 2 comes out in 1990, 4 years later. It has actually nothing to do with Troll. Troll 2 is a standalone movie, even though it's called Troll 2, and it actually does not have any trolls in it whatsoever.
This is not the troll with the colorful hair, right? This is not like
No,
the
there's
kids
no
one.
trolls at all. The movie's all about a bunch of goblins.
Mm-hmm.
So this Troll 2 has no trolls in it. It's about goblins. Yeah.
What?
The inspiration
Uh-huh.
the inspiration for this movie was the director of this film, Claudio Fragasso. His wife was feeling frustrated because a number of her friends had converted to vegetarianism, and she was just getting really annoyed at them for only eating vegetables. And so she thought, what would happen if you made a vampire movie, but the vampires are actually vegetarians? And then that becomes goblins, and then that becomes Troll 2, which again has no trolls in it or vampires, only goblins. These goblins are magical creatures that try and poison humans with food.
Okay.
So, speaking of double life
Yeah.
cycles here, the
Again.
goblins cook food
Uh-huh.
that it's supposed to look delicious and completely like you can't say no to, addictive, whatever.
Okay.
It looks awful in the movie, but it's supposed to be really like really enticing looking food.
Okay.
The humans that eat that food turn into plant matter, and then the goblins eat the human plants.
Okay.
That's how it works.
Wait, I might
Now,
have seen it.
you may have seen this one. Now, this movie is very well known for one scene in particular where one of the actors sees that his life is in imminent danger.
Mm-hmm.
And he sees this whole plot with the eating, and he says something along the lines of, "Oh my God, they ate her, and now they're gonna eat me. Oh my God!"
Is that literally it? Is that really?
Yeah, that's so. Look, the film was made almost entirely by Italians who could not really speak English. That's entirely true.
Yeah.
The one fluent English speaker on that film was a costume designer. So the costume designer is the one who's sort of trying to relay the information between the director and the actors.
Oh no.
All of the actors. This was filmed. I think in Utah. Yeah, in Morgan, Utah, in Porterville, Utah. The film was entirely comprised of people who had not acted ever before, and they showed up to this open casting call thinking that they were going to be extras.
Okay.
And they, in fact, became main characters of the film. One of the people in particular, in the movie, plays like a crazy farmer who's actually a goblin in disguise. In real life,
You can't even.
he was out on a day trip from a mental hospital. The mental hospital had a day trip for its inmates, or whatever you call them.
Yeah.
And he showed up to the casting call on his day trip, and they immediately signed him up.
I love that.
And he then had a significant part in that movie as a crazy farmer goblin.
Okay.
This is the quality of film we're talking about here from the outset.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You've got an Italian director who doesn't speak English. You've got his wife with the idea of the story, which is just let's hate on vegetarians.
Mm-hmm.
You have the entire crew speaking nothing but pidgin English because they speak Italian and they don't speak English. Some things are kind of communicated by their costume designer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You have a group of people who have never acted before in their lives. Some of them are actually insane. And the directors are giving them scripts that they wrote in English despite not speaking English. So the people trying to say these sentences, let them know, like, hey, this is not how you would say this in English. And the directors insist that the actors speak verbatim what is written in the script.
No. No.
And it is called Troll 2.
Okay.
Despite, I cannot emphasize this enough, having 0 trolls and having no pre-existing movie prior to Troll 2 that is connected to the story in any way.
Is it the same director of that movie, of that very famous gif of that dude going?
No, are you talking about the puppet from Team America?
No. There's
No,
like a very famous gif of that guy going like this in shock. He's like really long, wavy blonde hair. Very famous gif. I'll send it to you. I'll put it on social media.
I would guess no, because this was really this dude's claim to fame, was making this just awful, terrible movie.
Okay.
And this is without saying anything about the film's plot, which really just needs to be witnessed personally, preferably with some kind of mind-altering ingestion of something. I can't. It's insane. It's just purely insane. There's there is a moment where the main character sort of realizes something is wrong because they're vacationing in a town called Nilbog, and he catches sight of Nilbog in a mirror and he realizes the word goblin backwards.
No.
There is a recurring character that is a dead grandpa's ghost, and at various times the grandpa's ghost is described as like being sent to hell, and then he comes back.
What is going on?
Even though he's like supposed to be like a good guy, but he's like, oh, they're gonna send me back to hell.
Yeah.
There's a goblin witch who is surprisingly sexy given what her role is. That actress is probably the only decent part of the movie in terms of the performance.
Is this why you watched it?
She actually had to come up with the wardrobe mostly on her own. Almost everything you see her wear in that movie is actually clothes she owns, because they didn't have any costumes that fit her character of a witch goblin disguise. You had one actor in particular who, for one of the scenes in the movie, he is slowly being turned into a plant, and so they needed him to stand still for hours just to shoot this stupid scene.
You need to show me a picture. I want to see this.
Look up Troll 2. Look up Troll 2 on your phone.
Do the thing. You do the thing.
I'm telling the story right now.
Okay.
Look it up and put it in the screen like you did last week.
What is the thing I'm looking for? Troll 2, the
Troll
plant
2.
guy?
Just if you look up the Troll 2 oh my god gif, then you'll see that's the character. But they took his shoes in order to get the shot. Not their shoes. He owned those shoes. They took his shoes and then drilled them into the part of the set where the pot was, where he was supposed to stand, so that his feet would not move. So like, hey, we need your shoes. But in Italian, they take this kid's shoes off. They put them in a pot that's on like plywood or whatever their set floor is made out of, and they just screw his shoes to the floor. And they go, all right, stand there. And again, in Italian. And then he's there for like the rest of the day. He can't move.
All right, this is a picture I found. It looks like a melted mask on people, like a Halloween mask, but it's kind of melted and pretty nasty. It looks very 80s. What year is this again?
It was 1990. The film came out in 1990. The original Troll movie came out in 86, but again, no relation. It actually is a standalone movie called Troll 2.
I think I found the witch.
The surprisingly sexy witch?
Yeah.
Yes.
Who does she look like? Who would you cast as her?
Who would if they did like a remake?
Yeah, like who does she look like to you?
Let's see. Full cheeks, brown hair. I almost want to say like Liv Tyler, but probably no. She's too serious. I would say who's that actress that is like the discount Zooey Deschanel? I think she's in that
discount Zooey Deschanel.
Yeah, I think she's in like the TV show right now that's supposed to be like the prequel to Misery. She was like in Cloverfield. You know who I'm talking about?
No.
Let me look her up. If I say I'm gonna Google discount Zooey Deschanel and see if she pops up.
That's hilarious. Me too.
But look, the picture that you've seen. Oh, actually, all I'm seeing right now are posters of Zooey Deschanel that are cheaper than normal.
Oh, that's funny.
I should have guessed that was going to be the case. That picture that you just pulled up is a scene where she's seducing a teen boy in an RV with a cob of corn. And it makes it on screen makes as much sense as what I've just said.
Okay.
And they get so hot and heavy that the cob of corn explodes into popcorn and fills the entire RV.
Oh, that sounds delicious. I like that. I like a popcorn RV.
That's about as much sense as the movie ever makes. It's really has to be witnessed for oneself. But just to give you an idea of the kind of movie like that was the production.
I mean, I can. What kind of mood am I supposed to be in to actually enjoy it?
Drunk, absolutely drunk.
Well, and yeah, I guess so.
So, let's take a look at the chat. Yes, the Hacksmith probably came in at a weird time.
I think it's when you were talking about Pornhub.
Marco, no, we can move past that. Marco Maximovic says, "Am I too late?"
Yes.
No, you're never too late.
No.
Jay's encouraging me to go 100% Allen. All right. Gapsel says Allen's going to be a Mythbuster no matter what. Yes, even if it has to be on Pornhub. We'll get there someday.
Yep, yeah.
Gapsel also says Troll 2 without trolls is the ultimate troll. Yeah, that was kind of like that was trolling before trolling was like even a thing in the 90s to have Troll 2 be completely devoid of trolls. And that's like the bare minimum for a movie is for the title to have a relation to the content of the movie, and it fails that.
I'm trying to think what other movies I know that have a title that has nothing to do with a movie.
No, you don't, because you wouldn't do that. You would never do that if you were trying to have a successful movie.
Or unless
it would just the only way that could come about, which in this case is what happened, is just through sheer incompetence.
But why is it called 2? Why 2?
Because they were trying to trick people into thinking that it was a sequel to a movie that had come out 4 years earlier, and it was not. At all.
It's as if you decided to make a new movie with your Pikachu, and then you call it Gremlins 5, but it has nothing to do with Gremlins.
Exactly. It has no Gremlins, and is actually about me really not liking, I don't know, what's vegans? Vegans are the new vegetarians.
Okay.
I don't know.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
People who have to follow a low FODMAP diet. Everyone, Estefannie has to follow what's called a low FODMAP diet because I think her poops are abnormal.
Oh, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but thank you for announcing that.
There's apps where you can look up what is a FODMAP food and what is it. I think it stands for fructose.
I don't know. Big science words that we can't pronounce.
CMAP.
But you're not supposed to follow it strictly for more than 3 months. So I'm already out of it, but I might. Okay. I'm trying to make it strict again because I already feel not great again.
That might just be your inner Nilbog gnawing its way out to the surface.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Have you ever tried to seduce a teen in an RV with a cob of corn, Estefannie?
I might want to try that, actually, because I do want the popcorn RV.
You may be a secret goblin witch, then. I'm afraid to say, would be my diagnosis.
That's why I'm on a FODMAP diet.
You know what the best part, though, about Troll 2 is? I have seen that movie so many times, and I honestly could not tell you the plot at this point. I do not remember it.
Gosh.
I'm never in, like, the proper state of mind to remember it.
Yeah.
And also it makes so little sense. There's not any kind of A to B that I could actually follow in my brain to like come up with a it's like a series of scenes that make no sense. At one point, the main character sort of like defeats a bunch of goblins because he starts eating a bologna sandwich and it's got way too much bologna. Like if you imagine taking a whole package, like an 8-ounce package of bologna, and sticking it between 2 slices of bread. He pulls it out of his backpack. It's the ultimate weapon. They're like, no, don't do it. He takes a bite out of it. And it just disgusts them. So one of the goblins literally says something like, think of the cholesterol.
No. Okay. So out of all the times that you've seen this movie, what is an Allen Pan experience that you like the best out of all those times. Like, I once
Allen
watched
Pan.
it with blah 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 in summer camp, in band camp. I don't know.
Oh, Allen Pan. No, it's almost exclusively with the same group of friends, and we kind of do
Okay.
it like every Halloween, and every
So
time
it's your
the
tradition. I like
yeah, it's
that.
a tradition, and I think part of the tradition is every year somehow I forget how oddly attracted I am to the Goblin Witch. And every year when we get to that scene with the Goblin Witch, I express myself. I was like, "Oh my god, I forgot how sexy she is." Does that make me weird? I think I've said that exact question about 3 years in a row now.
I think that's fine. I think it's interesting. Now I see why you keep going back to that movie.
Yeah, specifically for that actress. She
Yeah.
never appeared in anything else.
Oh, is she
Towards the end,
Italian?
no, 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 no. Everyone in that movie is from Utah or the
Oh,
surrounding
okay.
states or from mental
Was she
institutions
from
in
the
the area.
mental institution?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, no. The Nilbog farmer guy is like he looks pretty nuts.
All
If you're
right.
trying to look him up, his name is I think Don Packard.
Okay.
I think is his name. I have to yeah, Don Packard. If you Google him, you'll see exactly which character he plays.
Okay. In the meantime, do you have? How about the audience watching? Tell us what is their worst movie that they love. Like Alan loves Trolls 2. Troll 2. Troll 2.
Troll 2.
Just Troll.
Troll 2. There is Trolls 2 brings up an actual movie series coming out right now with trolls as in the little
With like Justin Timberlake.
figures. Yeah, 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 exactly.
Wait, Don, what did you tell me to look for?
Packard. Packard if you're trying to like see
I found him.
what this dude looks like.
Oh God.
You put it up to the screen.
Hold on. I'm trying to... It's kind of creepy.
Yeah, he was actually from a mental institution, and he showed up on set to try out, and they were like, "Yeah, perfect."
I mean, yeah, he's perfect for the movie. That's great. Oh, he has 6% Rotten Tomatoes.
Dang, too bad.
Wait, is the girl Deborah Reed? Is that
Maybe I don't know the name off the top
she's
of
the
my head.
queen of
'Cause
the goblins.
Yes, that sounds about right.
That's your
Very-
discount Zoe Deschanel? No. I get
I was just trying to come up with actresses that I felt could plausibly. Yeah. You know, maybe a little bit of Hello Bottom Carter would probably be a good fit for like a Hollywood remake of Troll 2.
Yeah.
She could be a goblin queen. But I'm not as into Helena Bottom Carter as I am that lady in particular.
Helena is interesting. I love her acting skills. She yeah.
What do you got? Let's wrap
right.
this up.
Yeah.
What do you got coming up in the next week, Estefannie?
I'm working on a video that I'm really excited about because it's about a person who I met in Maker Faire Prague, and this dude is like, I see his work and I'm like, oh, this is what I want to be in a few years. But he basically, I can tell you what he did that inspired me so much. He built a machine from scratch to make his own filament out of old computer parts. Not just the machine is made out of old computer parts, but also the plastic he's melting is old monitors and printers and stuff. So he's basically reducing waste by creating filament that he could print with.
How does he? Are computers made of ABS? Is that like
no,
what computer?
Not ABS. Is that the only thing you know? No.
Because otherwise he's got like a mix of plastics that he doesn't quite know the thermal properties of. Like it's got to be a consistent.
Oh, he knows.
Kind of
he
plastic.
definitely knows. He's been working on this for 10 years. He has a lot of different compositions. I try to explain it to you in like, easy terms by saying plastic, but it's not plastic, of course. It is I'm looking for it. I don't know a lot of these, but yes, there's an ABS, but there's PLA, there's PC ABS, TPU, HDPE, HIPS, and those are all different types of polymers that he can melt together to create his filament.
If someone told me that I had all those acronyms, I'd go to a doctor.
Yeah, I know. Probably.
Wait, do I have HPVA?
HDP?
Do I have PLA?
TPU?
Doc, you telling me I got ABS?
Yeah. No, but I think the point is that his creation, I think, is very important. I think it's really cool. And if this is something that he did and people can make, I don't know, find it very, very inspiring. Instead of buying more filament to print another 3D model, why not melt some printers and like separate, and
Sure.
I think, I don't know, it's very inspiring. So I'm trying to make a story out of this and write a vlog about it. So that's kind of what I'm working on. What about you?
Well, Jay, I know what Jay's doing. He's going to SuperCon.
What's that?
Hackaday Super
Oh,
Conference.
SuperCon. Oh, I'm going to miss it.
Not heard of the Hackaday Super Conference?
Yeah, I went last year. I really like it.
Oh, okay.
But,
So,
yeah, no, I'm not going this year. Are you going to go?
No, my tradition for SuperCon is to always try and sneak in. They've invited me to give talks there, but it's just not as fun. The first time I tried this was, I think 2 years ago, where they were so proud of their electronic badge, they put all the specs online, and I was like, well, I could just try and make the badge and then show up. Like they had the bomb, they had the dimensions, they had everything. I didn't make it that fancy. I literally just cut out like a sheet of black plastic from a like project case.
Yeah.
And I almost had them, but they had wristbands. I did not think to try and make a fake wristband.
No.
So I did not fully. They did like the attempt so much that they took a picture and then sent it to Brian Benioff or whatever, the guy who was like in charge of the whole thing, in charge of Hackaday. And so after that, I've just sort of made it a life goal to just always try and sneak in. For the last couple of years, though, what I've settled for is just not going to the SuperCon, but going to the after parties, because
the after party is amazing. Last year they had really good tacos, and it was so fun because I think they hit my sweet spot because we were all soldering in the really long tables and but also drinking wine. So I was like, this is so dangerous, but I love it so much. I had so much fun. So tacos, red wine, and soldering, that's my jam.
So I'll hit you up, Jay, if I end up going to any particular after party. I mean, I got friends from out of town that always go to SuperCon. Sarah Petkiss from Mythbusters of Search. She's going to be at SuperCon, and I always love seeing her. Alex Glow is probably going to be there from Hackster.io with Archimedes. And then...
well, David Shore is going to be there, so if you go definitely go check him out. Also, Paul Pimeroni Paul is going to be there.
I actually want to see if they could get me a free 2-axis pan and tilt camera.
Free what?
They have a Pi hat that's a 2-axis pan and tilt camera. It's got two servos.
Yeah.
Pan and tilt. I want to see if it's like $40. I just want one for free.
Or pounds.
Yeah, pounds, which is about 10 billion US dollars.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I know Paul's gonna be there. Shori Designs.
Jay and Alex have a talk, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You two are like the robot familiar masters.
Yes.
Like you are the ones who have like the robotic familiars. It's like very, very neat. I have a very empty shoulder here. It's okay. Maybe I'll show up and have like a sock puppet kind of like over here.
You should just bring your Pikachu and like literally strap
wear like a really heavy jacket so that one of my arms is just an empty sleeve, and then actually secretly bring it up here and have like, oh yeah, it's got AI vision, it tracks faces, got pan and tilt. It's like, oh, it also talks. Listen to this. Hey, I'm Alan's familiar. Like that would be great.
You already have a Pikachu. Just strap that on your shoulder.
Pikachu.
Just don't like tase yourself in the face.
That I think this has gone on long enough.
Yeah.
But everyone, we love you.
Thank you for coming and watching us and listening to this half-baked science podcast where Stephanie brings some science stories and Allen Pan brings random fun facts about the world.
Yeah, see you next week, Nilbogs.
Yeah. What?
That's my thing now. Okay.
Okay.
See you next week, Nilbogs.
I need to.
You cut the stream right there.
I know, but see, if you knew me better, you'd know that I have no idea how to do this, remember?
Okay, I'm gonna scream right when you cut it off. So
Oh, I'll
it's
let you
funnier.
know when. Hold on. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Nilbogs. Saying bye to
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
Nilbogs.
Okay, I'm stopping streaming in 3, 2,
Bye,
1.
Nilbogs!
Oh.